how are you? I hope that you had a fantastic holiday celebration period time with your family and friends. I know that it's been crazy and it's the start of a new decade. Holy cow. So as we get moving on into Project Pan for 2020, I wanted to give you a status update on what's going on with Single Ladies and my man Matt. I've got Pan That Palette updates. I've got some Get Ready With Me's that are in the works that I need to edit and get uploaded for you. So there's going to be a lot of content coming from me as I have time to get everything uploaded and edited and ready to go. And so today we're going to talk about Single Ladies and my man Matt Project Pan, because I have to really just give a lot of thanks to Amanda D and Jessica Lee for starting this Project Pan. I have had so much fun, and you know, as I pulled out some of the pans that I still have of things that I finished and whatnot, it really was pivotal for me to stay accountable this year in terms of finishing eyeshadow. I worked on my Lorac Pro 2 for Pan That Palette, and I talked about it in my finale video for that, but I really struggled with my motivation with that palette, and if it hadn't been for the Single Ladies and my man Matt to, you know, kind of keep things moving for me, I definitely wouldn't have had the success that I did. So like I said, ladies, I really, really appreciate you coming up with this challenge, because it was just the swift kick in the tail that I needed to just keep on it and stay motivated. And so kind of going into it, I'm going to put this as another update, because I'm not completely in finale mode. Does that make sense at all? Like, I've fallen in love with my Subculture palette in a major way. Major way. And I'm not ready to say goodbye completely, but considering I'm going to be panning the back-to-back Pan That Palette, that update is coming next, so I hope you'll stay tuned on the lookout for that. But I'm not ready to say goodbye to this palette. So let's just talk about where it is currently. This is where I am, and the reason I'm loving this palette so much is just because the looks that I have been wearing so often lately. Like today I have All Star on in the crease. The next Get Ready With Me, I posted one not too long ago that I was using Electric. I went through with Axis. If I still have the shades, I would have used Roxy, Dawn, and also to Fudge, and I think that was it out of this palette. So if you're curious on kind of a green blue look, I'm going to go on and link that in the cards above, as well as the description box below, because that is a look that I just adore. And especially since blue is going to be the color for 2020, it's a nice way to kind of bring in some blues and teals out of your collection if you're wanting an idea with those shades. But today, if I were wearing the Subculture palette completely, I would have gone through with Roxy, All Star, Dawn, and then bring in a couple of peach shades like a matte espresso brown. Done, easy. And then I have a gray look with coral that I'm going to also be posting and Get Ready With Me on. So this is kind of where I am for the moment with this palette. I'm going to be kind of quietly panning it in the background, and then I think depending on how the progress kind of moves along with the MAC shadows this year, there may be some updates here and there. So I'm just going to continue calling them Single Ladies and my man Matt, and I'll just put update 13, 14, 15, whatever it's going to be on from there. So if you love this series and you're not ready to say goodbye to it either, the updates won't be monthly, but I will kind of continue to keep this going, because like I said, I've fallen in love with this palette, and All Star has been definitely my newest love. Burgundy eyeshadow has been just, love it. Love it. In terms of Single Ladies, this is where I feel like I've made even more progress, along with being able to finish as much of Subculture as I was able to do, along with my Lorac Pro 2. And so I don't have all the shadows immediately on hand that I was able to finish, but the one that I'm most excited about is that I finished this Made for Mocha shade from Maybelline. It was my very first Maybelline single to ever finish. It was a matte espresso brown. I love it. Love that shade. I mean, seriously, for like $3, That shade definitely is on par with a lot of high-end brands. I love using it as a liner shade. I love using it in my crease. I love using it in my brows. It's just fantastic. And it comes in a single packaging like this. This is the plastic packaging that I removed that pan so I could toss it into this Z palette. And I mean, it was just phenomenal. Another shade that I was able to finish, let's kind of go through the highlighting shades and then we'll talk about some of the lid shades I was able to finish. I had a Lorac highlighting shade that I no longer have the pan for, that either came out of the Lorac Mega Pro 4 or the 2, I don't remember specifically. I was also able to finish off a Wet n Wild Brulee. And I was able to hit pan in my most recent single lady, the L'Oreal Color Reach single in the shade Paris Beach. And I was really surprised to find that it is not a metal pan at the bottom. It's that plastic grid situation. So you can't depot these, just kind of FYI. Because at first I was like, oh yeah, you know, I could depot this and put this into my Z palette. Nope. Nope, definitely not. Because fortunately around the time I thought about depotting it, I definitely started hitting that grid pattern. I went, oh shucks. But this is a really, really superb formula. I'm wearing it in my highlighting areas today, on my brow bone and in my inner corner, and I just adore this shade. It's not quite stark white, but it's not cream. It's that perfect in between with just a little hint of a shimmer without it being like, bam, glittery, shiny, sparkly on your eyelids. So beautiful color. Then in terms of moving into some other things, when I fell in love with a bronze look as I wore my Subculture palette that used the shades Adorn, Fudge, Roxy, Dawn, and I would go through and use Rowdy as a liner. I also used Access as a liner. And so when I finished the Adorn, that beautiful metallic bronze shade, I was able to go through with a Juvia's Place shadow, and I completely finished that off. As you can see, it's just stained the bottom of the palette, but I think that came out of the Magic Mini palette. I don't remember specifically, but that is done. I also, just kind of sidebar, I was really able to make a lot of progress in my Too Faced Peachy Mattes palette because I don't have the original pan that I finished out of there, but I finished the matte espresso brown called Fudge Dipped. Yes. Fudge Dipped was the matte espresso brown. I was also able to hit pan. This is a medium tone brown in the shade Peach Tart. So that's my second shadow out of that palette that I'm hitting pan on. And then I also, this came out of the Sweet Peach palette, but when I finished Dawn, I went through and I finished another Lorac transition shade from what I remember. I don't remember which palette it came out of, but then I moved into Puree out of the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and I've really been enjoying the shade, and I'm proud to report that I finally hit pan. I actually hit pan on this right before New Year's, so that was a really, really nice feeling, and then I can kind of have this in my back pocket to work on at a later date. And then as I finished Roxy, I went in, I was doing a mixture of Too Faced Bloom from the was it called Bloom? It's from the Clover palette, and I would mix it with an orange, but then I got to the point where I was just like, yeah, let's just go with one pan. And since I'd already kind of started making progress in my Too Faced Peachy Matte palette, I pulled out this shade called Peach Punch, and I haven't hit pan, but I definitely have a little bit of a dip going there. So extremely satisfying. And again, I'm going to have these shadows in play as I finish filming off this Get Ready With Me's. If you're wanting some inspiration to pull out your Subculture palette, or you're wanting to have some inspiration maybe with color combinations that you wouldn't have necessarily thought of, because like corals and grays were a huge love for me last year. And like I said, blue is going to be the color of the year for 2020, and that's a combination that if you wanted to wear blue on your lower lash line, it's absolutely stunning. The bronze look is another one that is an easy go-to. I love wearing that. I get lots of compliments on it. And again, you can pair it with blue eyeshadow in a very subtle way if you wanted to. And then like this red look with All Star, this is a go-to for me. Not only because I've been craving wearing these glasses, but also too, I was like, it's a way for me to incorporate some blue eyeshadow, but we'll talk about that as we get into pan that palette. So overall, I am thrilled with what I was able to accomplish. I mean, moving out literally 2 more pans of eyeshadow, clearing out more shadows out of a Z palette, and definitely making so much progress with another palette to move out of my collection is just phenomenal. So whenever there are other challenges with painting palettes and jumping in with the Fantastic Ladies and things like that, I highly just suggest that you go for it. Go for it. It's an easy way to stay motivated. It's an easy way to have that back and forth conversation with friends who are using similar things out of their collection. So on those days that you're feeling stumped, it's great to just share the good information and tips and tricks and feedback. And it's just, you'll be amazed at what you're able to accomplish in months or at the end of a year. And so I wish you all the best and hope that you are motivated to go shop your stash, because let me tell you, every time I finish an eyeshadow, that feeling never gets old. Never gets old on being like, yes, I did it. So that about wraps it up for now with Single Ladies and my man Matt. Like I said, this has been just an amazing, fun challenge. I never felt really stuck with these eyeshadows because I had enough versatility, even though I was going through a lot of similar things. I mean, cream shadows, matte espresso brown. I mean, I was going through a lot of dupes, but at the same time, it felt like it was always kind of continually staying fresh. And again, to see progress in a major way on a palette was just like, it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. So coming up next, we have Pan That Palette, because I need to make the introduction for 2020 and kind of start walking you through what I'm going to be panning. But know that, like I said, I'm going to quietly be making some changes and still continuing to use my Subculture palette, and I'll keep you abreast on what's kind of going on when I'm ready to make those updates, whenever that is, depending on the MAC shadows. So until next time, take care, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. So adios.